I never thought I'd be that guy, the one who gets blindsided by his own wife. Lisa and I had been married for 8 years, and honestly, I thought we were solid. Sure, every relationship has its ups and downs, but I believed we were in it for the long haul. She was smart, beautiful, a bit bitchy sometimes, but I thought that was just her personality. She liked to be in control, loved to argue, but she also knew how to make me laugh when I was down. I trusted her completely, until that day at the convention. It all started with a simple trip. I've been really excited about the FanCon last weekend. It's a big deal for me. I've been a huge fan of comic books and sci-fi for as long as I can remember. Lisa always rolled her eyes when I got excited about these things, but I thought she supported me. She said she'd come along, even though I knew she didn't care much about the con itself. She just wanted to come for the free hotel stay and to get away from her annoying coworkers. The convention was Saturday and Sunday, 2 full days of wandering around, meeting some of my heroes, buying collectibles. But what I didn't realize was that Lisa had a different kind of agenda. She'd been acting strange for weeks before this, snapping at me for small things, dismissing my interests like they were a waste of time. Nothing too obvious, just enough to make me question if she was unhappy or if I'd done something wrong. I brushed it off at first. I thought maybe she was stressed with work or just tired. But then came the moment that changed everything. I was scrolling through my phone that Sunday evening, right after we'd come back home. I wasn't expecting anything unusual, just checking messages when I saw the photos. There was Lisa, smiling, close with some guy I'd never seen before at the convention. They looked like they were about to kiss. The caption was something like "my favorite person here," but it was her in the picture with him, and they were definitely not just friends. My stomach sank. I recognized the guy immediately. His name is Mark, a well-known actor I've admired since I was a kid. I've followed his career, seen him in interviews, even met him once at a convention, and now he's in my wife's arms. There was no mistake. They looked intimate, comfortable, like they'd been together for a while. And the worst part, other attendees took pictures, some even commented, "Wow, Lisa, didn't expect to see you here with Mark." It hit me like a punch in the gut. I stared at the screen, trying to process what I was seeing. My wife, the woman I trusted, the woman I married, had been sneaking around with someone I've idolized for years. I felt numb at first, completely shattered. It was a betrayal on every level. I kept thinking, how long has this been going on? Was this a one-time thing, or has she been lying to me all along? My mind was racing, a million questions flooding in, but I couldn't bring myself to do anything immediately. I just sat there, stunned, staring at those photos. I didn't sleep that night. The pictures kept circling in my head, and I kept replaying every little thing. Her weird mood swings, her dismissiveness, her hints of wanting space. I wondered how I missed it, how I didn't see the signs. I think I knew somewhere deep down that something was off, but I refused to admit it. I kept telling myself she loved me, that maybe it was just some stupid thing she'd done for attention, or maybe she'd be able to explain it away. The next morning, I woke up feeling sick. I wanted to confront her, but I also knew it wasn't going to be simple. I needed more evidence, something concrete besides those photos. I didn't want to accuse her blindly, but I couldn't ignore what I'd seen. That day, I started digging, looking at her phone, her social media, trying to find more clues. And what I found next was even more shocking: messages between her and Mark, flirtatious and loaded with innuendos. She was lying to me, hiding him, and she wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. I felt anger boiling inside, but also a deep, aching betrayal. I didn't sleep much that week. Every moment was filled with thoughts of what I'd do, how I'd catch her in the act if I needed to. But I knew I had to confront her. I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. I needed to know why, how long this had been going on, and what the hell she thought she was doing with my childhood hero. I wasn't just hurt, I was furious. Betrayal of this magnitude doesn't just hurt, it destroys whatever trust was left, and it forces you to question everything you thought was real. That evening, I decided I couldn't wait any longer. I had enough evidence, screenshots, messages, photos, and I knew if I didn't confront her now, I'd just keep spiraling into this pit of doubt and anger. I waited until she got home from work, which was pretty typical for a weekday. Lisa was always bitchy about her job, always in a rush, snapping at everyone. But that day, she seemed even more irritable, like she was hiding something. When she finally walked in, I was sitting on the couch with a calm but serious look that probably scared her more than I realized. She threw her bag down and sneered. "What's with the serious face, honey?" I didn't respond right away. I just looked at her and then pulled out my phone, showing her the pictures. Her face twisted in a way I'll never forget, like she was caught off guard but also pissed that I found out. She tried to play it off to act innocent, which made me almost laugh because her acting is as bad as her lies. "Who is he, Lisa?" I asked, voice low and trembling with a mix of rage and heartbreak. She rolled her eyes, scoffing. "Oh, come on, Jason, this is stupid. That's just some fan, some guy I barely talked to. It was a dumb mistake, a one-time thing, I swear. You know I love you, right?" She looked at me like I was supposed to buy some cheap excuse. "It's not what it looks like. We were just talking, hanging out, nothing more, just a stupid mistake. I didn't think you'd find out." I wanted to scream. How could she lie so easily? The photos, the messages, everything pointed to something more than just talking. I saw the way she touched him in the pictures, like they were already more than friends, and her reaction, complete denial, like she thought I was stupid enough to believe her bullshit. I stood up, trying to keep my composure. "You're lying. You've been lying to me for weeks, maybe longer. I saw the messages, flirtatious, suggestive, and don't even try to tell me you didn't mean anything because I know better. How long has this been going on, Lisa? How long have you been sleeping with my childhood hero?" Her face twisted again, this time with anger. "Oh, get off your high horse. You're just jealous because I don't worship some celebrity like you do. Maybe if you paid more attention to me instead of your stupid comics and fan conventions, I wouldn't have had to find someone who actually gives a damn about me. Mark is just some guy who happened to be there and it meant nothing. You want to turn this into some dramatic thing, fine. But I did what I did because I was bored and tired of your obsession with that stupid fandom of yours." That hit me like a punch to the gut. She was so dismissive, so bitchy about everything I cared about. I could feel my fists clenching, but I forced myself to stay calm. Deep down, I knew she was just trying to deflect, to make me doubt myself. But the truth was, I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach by her, by the betrayal, by the fact that she saw me as some fool who didn't deserve the truth. I asked her again, voice colder now, "Are you telling me that's all it was? Some stupid flirtation at a fan convention? No sex? No nothing?" She rolled her eyes. "Of course there was no sex, you idiot. I'm not some slut. It was just some stupid fun, a moment of weakness. I swear on everything, Jason. I love you and I would never actually cheat on you." Her words made my stomach churn. I'd heard enough. I realized then that I couldn't just brush this off. I couldn't pretend she was telling the truth because I knew better. I felt the betrayal deep in my core and I knew I had to decide what to do next. But right then, the only thing I could think about was how much I'd trusted her, how she had lied to my face, and how she could just dismiss it all as some stupid mistake. That night, I couldn't sleep. My mind kept circling back to the photos, her words, her attitude. I kept asking myself, did I mean anything to her? Was I just a placeholder, someone she married out of convenience, while her real fascination was with some Hollywood star? The pain was overwhelming, worse than I'd anticipated. I'd always believed in honesty, in loyalty, yet here I was, staring at the ruins of everything I thought was real. I knew I couldn't stay silent forever. I had to make a decision, and I had to do it soon. But for now, I just sat there, feeling the weight of betrayal crush everything I believed in. And as much as I wanted to lash out or yell or even cry, I stayed quiet, waiting for what would come next. The next few days weren't any easier. I kept replaying every moment, every word she'd said, every glance she'd given him in those photos. The worst part was the way she dismissed it all, like I was overreacting or making some huge deal out of nothing. That bitchy smirk she threw at me when I confronted her still haunted me. She kept insisting it was just a stupid mistake, like that somehow made it okay. I almost wanted to believe her, but deep down I knew better. I started to notice things, little things that confirmed what I suspected. Her phone was full of new messages she'd hide, probably with Mark. She'd go into the bathroom or the bedroom and lock the door, whispering on the phone like she was hiding a secret. I found her deleting texts, which made me angrier. The more I looked, the more I saw how deep this had gone. I even found a receipt from a hotel downtown, and she tried to say she was there for a girls' night out. Yeah, right. She'd never been to that hotel before. One night, I decided I had enough. I couldn't keep pretending I was okay with her lying to me, acting like everything was fine. I sat her down again, this time more serious. I told her I knew about her affair, about Mark, everything I'd uncovered. Her reaction was a mixture of annoyance and outright hostility. "You're crazy, Jason. You're making this all up. You're just jealous because I kept your stupid hobby in the background while I did my own thing. Maybe if you weren't so obsessed with comics and conventions, I wouldn't have to cheat to feel alive." I was stunned. That was her response. Blame me for her betrayal. It was. Like she didn't even care that I was hurt, that I was breaking inside. She just kept deflecting, throwing insults, calling me jealous, insecure, obsessive. It was exhausting. I told her I'd had enough, that I wasn't going to keep pretending everything was normal. That's when she snapped. Her bitchy mask slipped completely. She screamed at me, calling me a loser, a nerd, a nobody who didn't deserve her. "You're such a pathetic little man, Jason. You've got your stupid hobbies and your stupid conventions, and I'm tired of pretending I want to be married to a guy like you. I don't want to be with someone who's so insecure about his own boring life." Honestly, hearing her say that was like a punch again. She was so cruel, so dismissive of everything I cared about. I felt my blood boil. But I also felt something else, an overwhelming sense of betrayal. She was throwing all her anger at me, but I knew the real problem was her own guilt, her own shame. She had been caught, and instead of owning it, she lashed out, trying to make me the bad guy. At that point, I realized I couldn't keep living like this. I couldn't go on pretending I didn't know what she'd done or that her words didn't cut deep. I told her I needed some time to think, to figure out what I wanted. She just sneered, rolled her eyes, and stormed out of the room, slamming the door behind her. I was left there, alone with my thoughts, feeling like I'd been punched in the stomach again and again. How could she lie so easily? How could she dismiss my feelings so callously? It was like she saw me as nothing more than an inconvenience, someone she was just married to because it was easier than facing her own problems. And Mark, I knew she'd probably keep seeing him, keep hiding the truth, because she had no intention of stopping this affair. That night I couldn't sleep. My mind kept circling back to everything, her lies, her insults, the photos, the messages. I felt numb and furious at the same time. I thought about how I'd always tried to be patient, tried to give her the benefit of the doubt, but she just kept pushing me away, disrespecting everything we had. I realized I was at a crossroads. I could keep pretending, keep letting her treat me like shit, or I could do something drastic. Honestly, I was so hurt that part of me wanted to just walk away. But another part, the stubborn part, wanted revenge. I couldn't let her get away with this. I wouldn't. I started planning. I knew I had to make her regret everything she'd done. Not just cheat, but lie, insult, and dismiss me like I was some insignificant fool. I wanted her to feel the pain she'd inflicted, not just a quick slap, but something that would hit her hard enough to see what she lost. I didn't know exactly what form that would take yet, but I knew it had to be something memorable. Something that told her I wasn't just going to roll over and accept being disrespected. I spent the next couple of days gathering details, waiting for the right moment. I knew if I wanted to get back at her properly, I'd have to be patient and smart. I couldn't just lash out or she'd brush me off even more. The days that followed felt like walking on a razor's edge. I was angry, hurt, and determined, but I also knew that if I wanted to make her truly understand what she'd done, I had to be strategic. I started to think about how to turn the tables, how to make her see that her betrayal wasn't just some fleeting mistake, but a serious blow to everything we had. I wanted her to feel the same pain I'd been carrying, maybe even more. I began by secretly installing a small recording device in the bedroom. I figured that if she really thought she was hiding this affair, I might as well gather proof of what she was doing when I wasn't around. It was a gamble, but I needed to hear her confess, or at least catch her in the act, something that would make her realize how badly she'd messed up. Honestly, I felt like a detective in my own marriage. I was digging into her life, trying to find the cracks in her facade. While doing that, I also started to plan how I would execute my revenge. I knew I couldn't just confront her again. No, I needed something more impactful, something she wouldn't be able to dismiss or brush off as a stupid mistake. I wanted her to realize that her actions had consequences, that her lies and infidelity had consequences. So I focused on ways to make her feel exposed and humiliated without crossing into outright violence or destructive behavior. One evening, I finally caught her. I had been secretly recording her for a couple of days, and I played back some snippets. Her talking to Mark on the phone, her laughing at some private joke, her saying how tired she was of pretending to be happy. Hearing her own words, seeing her own voice made my blood boil. I knew then I had enough evidence to make her regret every word, every lie, but I also knew I had to be careful. I didn't want her to spin this as some kind of misunderstanding. That night, I decided it was time for the showdown. I called her into the living room, calmly but with a cold edge in my voice. I played the recordings. Her face went pale, and her bitchy facade crumbled in seconds. She tried to deny everything, blabbering about how it was just sex or a stupid mistake. But I wasn't buying it anymore. I told her I had enough evidence, enough of her lies, and that I was done pretending. Her reaction was an explosion. She started yelling, calling me paranoid, insecure, a jealous freak. She accused me of ruining her life, of being controlling, of not letting her have her fun. You're just jealous because I've got a life outside of your stupid fandom. If you weren't so obsessed with your stupid comics and conventions, maybe I'd want to stay married to you, she spat. I looked her right in the eyes and told her that I'd never felt so humiliated in my life. That her betrayal, her lies, and her disgusting attitude had shown me that I was better off without someone who saw me as nothing but a joke. I told her I was done, that I was leaving her, and that she could go ahead and have her fun with Mark, but I'd be damned if I stayed to watch her destroy what little was left of our marriage. Her face twisted again, this time in pure hatred. She screamed at me, calling me a pathetic loser, a nerd, a worthless husband who didn't deserve her. She told me I'd regret this, that she'd make my life hell if I left, but I knew the truth, that her words were empty, just more lies to cover up the guilt. I saw right through her. That night I packed a bag and left. I didn't tell her where I was going, just that I needed space. I didn't want to give her the satisfaction of seeing me break down or beg her to stay. I was hurt, yes, but I was also relieved. For the first time in days, I felt like I was taking control back. I'd finally confronted her, gathered proof, and stood my ground. In the days that followed, I started to realize how much her betrayal had changed me. I was angry, but also stronger. I learned that sometimes you have to fight for yourself, even if it means losing someone you loved. I decided that I wouldn't let her define me, and I would move on from this mess, no matter how painful it was. The separation was brutal, but honestly, it was what I needed. I stayed with a friend for a while, just trying to process everything. I couldn't believe how easily she turned on me, how her bitchy attitude just kept spewing insults even as she realized I'd caught her red-handed. That moment of confrontation changed everything. It was like I finally saw her for what she really was, a selfish, manipulative woman who thought she could get away with anything. I'd never felt so betrayed in my life. All those years I gave her, trusted her, believed in us, gone in an instant because she decided Mark was more important than our marriage. I kept asking myself, why? Why would she throw away everything for some Hollywood star? But I knew the answer, the thrill, the excitement, the feeling of being desired by someone famous. That bitchy arrogance she had, that attitude of I can do whatever I want, came crashing down on me. I spent days just trying to get a grip. I deleted her number, blocked her on everything, and refused to engage when she kept trying to contact me. Her messages were filled with guilt trips, accusations, and pleas, but I didn't respond. I knew if I did, I'd just be giving her ammunition to keep dragging me back in. I had to stay strong for myself, for my sanity. But beneath all that anger, there was also a sense of relief. I finally saw her true colors, and that realization freed me in a strange way. I started making plans. I knew I couldn't let her get away with what she did. I wanted her to feel the pain of losing someone who genuinely loved her. I wasn't just going to walk away quietly. I had to do something that would leave her with a permanent scar of guilt. So I began to get revenge in small, calculated ways. I contacted some of her friends, told them about her affair, and made sure she knew I had the evidence. I started leaking little bits of information about her to people she thought she could trust. I wanted her to feel exposed, humiliated, like everything she'd lied about was finally catching up with her. It wasn't about petty revenge. It was about making her see that she couldn't keep hiding behind her bitchy attitude and lies anymore. I also started dating again just to remind myself that I was still desirable, still worth something. That was a huge step. I'd always been the loyal type, the guy who stayed faithful, but now I realized that I deserved someone who actually valued me. I refused to be her doormat anymore. Every time I thought about her with Mark, I felt a wave of disgust and anger, but I also felt stronger, like I was finally reclaiming my dignity. One day she finally crossed the line even further. She showed up at my new apartment, furious, crying, begging me to come back, claiming she was sorry and that she'd change. She looked pathetic, her bitchy attitude replaced with tears and pleading, but I wasn't buying it. I told her I didn't want to see her anymore, that she destroyed everything we had. I told her I knew about all her lies, her affair, and her manipulations. I said she could keep Mark, keep pretending she was a victim, but I was done. Her reaction was a mix of rage and frustration. She called me a selfish bastard, a loser, a nerd who didn't deserve her. She said I'd regret this, that she'd come back someday and I'd be begging her to take her back. But I knew better. I'd already moved on mentally. I saw through her act. She wasn't sorry. She was just angry she couldn't control me anymore. That day, I made the decision to finalize the divorce. I wanted her out of my life completely. I filed papers, told her to leave me alone, and blocked all her social media. I wanted nothing to do with her bitchy attitude or her lies. I realized that some betrayals are so deep that you just can't recover, no matter how much you want to. Looking back, I learned a lot from this nightmare. Trust is fragile, and sometimes people show their true colors when you least expect it. I learned that standing up for myself, even in the face of betrayal, is the only way to take control. I also learned that revenge, when done right, can be a way to reclaim your power, by exposing lies and lies, by making her feel what it's like to be truly humiliated. Now I'm rebuilding my life, focusing on myself, and trying to forget the bitchy woman who thought she could cheat and lie her way out of consequences. I don't regret anything. She made her choice, and I'm better off without her. I hope others facing the same kind of betrayal realize that they don't have to accept being treated like shit. Sometimes you just have to take the hit and come out stronger on the other side. Now, looking back, I realize how much this whole ordeal changed me. I used to be the guy who believed in loyalty, in honesty, in sticking things out no matter what. But her betrayal shattered that naive sense of security I had. It taught me that sometimes you have to face the harsh truth head-on, even if it crushes you in the process. I've learned that people aren't always who they pretend to be, and those closest to you can betray you in ways you never imagined. It's a painful lesson, but one I needed. Trust is a fragile thing, and when it's broken, it's almost impossible to repair. I don't think I'll ever look at relationships the same way again, but I do believe I've grown stronger because of it. This experience has shown me that revenge isn't about petty payback or making someone feel small. It's about reclaiming your dignity, exposing the lies, and making the other person face the consequences of their actions. I wanted her to see that her choices had a price. Her lies, her affair, her manipulations, they all caught up with her, and she lost everything she once took for granted. That's the kind of revenge that sticks, the kind that leaves a mark, not just on her, but on me as well. And I've come to accept that I'm better off alone than in a relationship built on lies and betrayal. I can sleep at night knowing I did what I had to do. I don't regret standing up for myself, even if it was the hardest thing I ever had to do. Sometimes you have to hit rock bottom to realize your worth, and I've definitely hit that point. Most importantly, this whole thing has made me realize I deserve better. I deserve someone who respects me, who values honesty, and who would never even think about cheating with some Hollywood star at a fan convention. If she thought Mark was worth risking everything for, then she never truly loved me in the first place. I've learned that I don't need her or anyone like her to define my happiness. I'm rebuilding my life from the ground up, stronger and more aware of what I want, what I truly deserve. So, to anyone out there dealing with betrayal, I'd say this: don't ever settle for being lied to or treated like shit. Stand up, gather your evidence if you need it, and do what you have to do to reclaim your power. Because in the end, nobody can hurt you more than someone you trusted completely, except yourself if you let them. I won't let her or anyone else ruin my life anymore. I'm done with the lies, the betrayal, and the pain. I'm finally free.